Well, hello, everybody. Glad you're with us here on a Thursday. It is Longshore McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. I'm here in Studio B, as is Barry down in the satellite location of Troy today. How's it going down there?
It's going good. It's going good. Getting ready for a couple of things that are going to be taking place. One of them, one of the most underrated things that is in the sports calendar every year. And we'll talk about that in a moment. I have really gotten into the Women's College World Series.
Wow.
Starts today. Yeah? I mean,
really?
Let me look on your clipboard down there.
Yeah. Huh.
It's not on there. Wait a minute. You don't have that down?
Let me see
Let's
here.
see. Phantom Daily Dog. Yeah.
If I didn't read Philip's column this morning, I might have overlooked that. But Philip, of course, heavy into college women's softball, was previewing it, giving me a history lesson on it. So I will take a look. I've talked about it before. It is exciting.
It is
more of a faster paced game, which I do like
than baseball.
Yeah.
I have always loved what they now officially call the Men's College World Series, which I still, I'm not as politically correct as John is, but I still just call it the College World Series. And that gets started tomorrow. And I love it. Wish Troy was in it, should be in it. But the Women's College World Series, the only thing I don't like, and they have the energy in the dugouts, and the girls are doing orchestrated chants, and they'll stomp their feet in unison and then cross their legs in uniform, kind of like the bench area at a Jeff Davis basketball game back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But and I love female broadcasters. I got some of the best broadcasters I know are females, and I've talked about working with them before. Melanie Newman with the Orioles. Love Lindsey Bonner at WAKA, Rosie Langella, all of those people. But man, Pam Ward. Oh man, Beth Mowens.
Ooh. They're no Dottie Pepper.
They're no Doris Burke. That's for dang sure.
Yeah.
Can do without that. But anyway, don't want to get all into that early. Maybe we'll have it on the fabled Gurn Jr. Victoryland 777 topic wheel, but that gets underway today. And
well, it does. And it is topical, to say the least. I will say this, Barry, with college women's softball and college men's baseball, do we really need to make the distinguish it like that?
If it's in college, it's softball and it's baseball. Hey, men's baseball's doing well, as opposed to now there is softball that does not involve college. There is softball that doesn't involve women. John may not realize this, but there is men's softball that doesn't involve beer.
Well, then
that's why
I played in the D League.
That's right.
Softball, because
when they hit a ball,
when
they hit a ball to center field, John never got a really good jump on the ball because he had to put his can down. Hang on. There's no, you're looking for a bare spot out there at Lagoon Park, but they keep the grass so good. There's no bare spot to lay your beer down, so you can go get that fly ball. You take it.
That's slow pitch, Barry. That is not fast pitch softball. That is slow pitch. You got a chance. You see the ball. There's nothing more embarrassing, though, Barry, when you strike out in slow pitch softball. And there were a couple of times I had 2 strikes on me. I said, I can promise you, I'm making contact with this one. There's no way I'm going down swinging.
This is where John loses all memory, all perception of one of the core rules of a golf swing. And it's the same thing with a softball swing, especially with 2 strikes.
Oh,
do not swing hard. Boys, which would you rather do? Would you rather hit a home run on an 0-2 pitch and risk, just swinging the daylights out of it and miss it, or just meet the ball so you make that walk of shame with your bat dragging behind you to your dugout where your guys have already fallen off the bed, a couple of them on their hands and knees, a couple on the elbow.
Oh, it's brutal.
You don't.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't care.
That's what happens when Longshore is right out on the edge of the woods. Man, don't fire at the pins. Just get it out there. Get something out there you can play.
Yeah, I didn't care if I dribbled it back to the mound or the circle, as they call it in softball. I've got to at least make contact. And the worst is if you're 0-2, but you got 2 strikes watching them. The umps call 2 strikes on you. You haven't even swung the bat yet. So you're down 0-2. You have not swung yet. And you're going, I have got to swing at this. I don't care how far outside this ball is. I am swinging and hoping I make contact. Don't care if I dribble it down the third baseline. I am not striking out. That is pretty fearful, pretty nerve-wracking, no doubt.
Well,
I will say this. Here it is, the end of May.
Yes.
And I did not think we would have as much excitement or happiness within the Auburn and Alabama basketball families when we heard yesterday that Tahad Pettiford and LeBaron Philon, 2 freshman phenoms, were going to return to play basketball in college next year. That's huge news.
Both of these teams, again, will be factors in the SEC and nationally, despite both teams losing a ton of folks. That's what, again, college athletics is so different now. Both of them went through the NBA draft evaluations. Both of them went to draft camps. I mean, they're playing in front of scouts, NBA scouts, specifically to play in front of the scouts. It's not like the scout came to a Auburn game to watch Pettiford or came to an Alabama game to watch Philon. They went through the whole deal. They talked with agents. Well, agents ain't a big thing anymore. College athletes have got agents anyway. Tahad Pettiford's had an agent since he was a senior in high school. But they're talking about, look, this is, where do you think I'm going to get drafted and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the numbers just weren't right. They're back. And that's big news. That's big news.
Yeah.
Both of them. I'm trying to, if somebody were to ask me who I thought was a better player, golly, they're so even. Which one of them has a better upside, has a better future? I don't even really know that. To me, John, they're just about the same player, if you ask me.
I'm wondering, and I think we talked about this during the season. I'm thinking, have I seen enough of these players? I've seen a lot of them, but have I seen enough to really make me go, wow, totally different. Guys head and shoulders better than anybody out there. Maybe I just didn't watch closely enough. I never got that sense. They're good. They're impressive. But next level now, I don't know if I ever really bought into that completely. But I do think going to the combine, going through the process, going through whatever this is called in the NBA, the experience that you gain is invaluable in my mind.
I agree.
To come back, you've gone through this, you've experienced it, you come back knowing, okay, when I go through this next year, I got a pretty good feel for it. I'm going to hone in my game. I'm going to polish it and sharpen it up. And I'm probably getting about $2 million along the way while I'm doing it.
Yep.
I would think both these young men are probably in the $2 million range.
And deserve it. And that's not undeserved out there. So it is, both of them will be the face of the program next year. Auburn has gotten some really impressive transfers. They've gotten a couple of guys highly thought of. Pettiford is the only guy that played more than 10 minutes a game last year that's going to be back the only one. So, I mean, everybody else, virtually everybody else, is going to be different. We can talk a little bit later on with Jason Caldwell about that. I think Auburn got some Serbian kid the other day or something like that. Transfer from UCF. Alabama has gotten some good guys. That 7-footer from Bucknell. So it's fascinating to see how it is. And you're right. Which would you rather? I mean, in the NBA, you'll make a lot of money even if you start off in the G League. I keep thinking about a guy like Sharif Cooper at Auburn, who came in. There were some eligibility questions about him, so he came in a little bit later in the season. And when he came in, a little guard, about 5'11", 6 feet. I mean, he was the truth. I think he scored 26 in his first college game. 1 year at Auburn, then he went to the NBA. What's Sharif Cooper doing now? You know, I mean, is he still in the G League? Because he was in the G League for a good long while.
Yeah. It is very, it's amazing how many of them out there think they're going to be the next MJ, Kobe.
Yeah.
It then just doesn't happen.
Then you got a guy like Colin Sexton, 1 year at Alabama and first-round pick. So he went, and he's been a fixture. He hasn't been like a NBA luminary or anything, but he's been pretty doggone solid. You got a guy like Brandon Miller, who's a star in this league after 1 year.
And I forget about those guys, Barry, mainly because who they play for. I mean, I didn't know Cleveland was any good till the postseason. I mean,
they're terrific.
Charlotte, a G League team, you'd think so. You never hear about the Hornets or the Bobcats, whatever they're called. But as Terrence points out, college basketball is better than the G League. Heck, I believe the life in college basketball is better than the G League. I mean, the G League, you're probably like minor league baseball. You're on a bus. You're
bussing from Grand Rapids to Fort Wayne.
Eating at Taco Bell. Got three other guys in the room with you at the Budgetel. Oh,
yeah. As Terrence is right, he said with the NIL, why not play 4 or 5 years in college like back in the day? But the difference, you can have close to $5 million in the bank, hopefully 2 degrees, networking for life, and expenses paid.
Look at Terrence, love it. Yeah,
you're talking to two guys who lived that maxim. Hey, man, you graduated already?
What's the hurry?
It's only been 3.5 years, dude.
Come on.
You know, you got to space it out. You know, some of the best years of your life. Why not add to them out there? But on the other side,
networking. That's a great word, Terrence. You got to network.
Yeah,
it's huge.
You know, you got that guy like Janai Broom. Janai Broom, one of the best college players in the country, best player in the SEC. You know, a finalist for National Player of the Year, won a couple of National Player of the Year awards.
Sure.
Why is he not, along with somebody like Cooper Flagg or Con Kneppel or some of those guys, being listed as a top 5 NBA draft pick? Because the man's 25 years old. You know, this is what you risk in the NBA, just like you risk in college baseball. You have 50-year seniors in college baseball who's like the SEC's all-time hits leader. Well, they ain't drafting you when you're 24 years old. Same thing in basketball. How long would you have Janai Broom if you drafted him number 1? 5 great years before he hits 30? 6, maybe? Something like that?
Yeah.
Or you get a kid like Cooper Flagg, who's 18. He's going to play 6 more years than you will before he even hints at slowing down, you know? So that's the only thing, Terrence, I can tell you. If you want to be in the league, get in the league as quickly as you can within reason. I totally get why Pettiford's staying for another year. He's trying to get first-round money. Same thing with Phylan. They're both very, very young players. The older you get, the more bloom is off the rose in terms of the NBA. Same,
and I'll be
Chad Baker-Mazara. He transferred to USC, got his lip poked out at Auburn because somebody else is making more money than he is.
Come on.
Listen, he knows, man. He knows he better maximize his earnings opportunities in college because by the time he gets to the NBA, maybe 27.
And I do wonder about Broom, his future. Heard some things through the draft evaluation and all that type stuff. I'll be interested to see his future in the NBA. Like I said, some of the things I heard weren't that flattering. Hopefully he can overcome that.
Yeah, it is big news for the colleges that we pay attention to here in our area of the world. So WCWS begins today. Guess who the first game is? 11 o'clock this morning, ESPN. Texas.
Oh, no, really?
And Florida.
Sure.
Oklahoma, Tennessee, Ole Miss is in. Tons of SEC teams out there. I think there's 5 of the 10 of the 16 or whatever. Maybe more. You've got as Range Pro says, the Memorial.
It is Jack's tournament
today.
Yep, that's up in Ohio.
I'm
he's got his
flashing that up there. Yeah, we'll flash those up there a little bit later on.
Yeah.
We're gonna use that for teasing purposes.
From what
we'll give you Range Pro's picks.
Range
today.
Pro has been killing local man on the PGA Tour selections so far this year. So we'll get his insight on the Memorial when we get back as well. Also, when we come back, one other thing before we do go to break, I totally agree. We don't need to be calling it women's softball and men's baseball, but I do not want to eliminate terms like the Lady Aubs and the Lady Tide.
Yeah.
Those to me are fixtures in women's college sports. I think it shows respect when you use the term lady in front of what they're doing, because they are ladies. Well, I guess they are all ladies. I mean, in this day and age, you don't really have to be.
This is one sentence where John says you got to respect the fact that they are ladies, while later on in the sentence, well, I don't know if they really are.
Yeah.
John can do that better than anybody.
I think we're getting that worked out with our new administration, trying to make sure girls play with girls and boys play with boys. That's what I was trying to get across.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big time in favor of that. And I think I want to say it happened recently in some other sport. Or a marathon. It was unbelievable. But anyway, I like the using Lady Tide, Lady Aubs, even though technically that's not what they're called.
Yeah.
But I'm pushing to get that used more like they do in Knoxville with the Lady Vols.
See, this is why that's condescending, because John doesn't call them the Boy Tide or the Boy Aubs or the Guy Aubs or anything like that. It's just understood that when you're talking about the Crimson Tide or the Tigers, you're talking about the men. The women need to be differentiated. I mean, they're Crimson Tide, yeah, I guess, but they're gals, They're not, you have to differentiate that. I mean, they're not like Leroy Jordan or John Hanna or Dwight Stevenson. They're more like Sarah Ashley. And some of that
Dakota, what was the pitcher? Montana Fowles.
Fowles.
I knew I'd get the state mixed up. Got my states mixed up. Montana Fowles and whoever the lady was that started that fight in the Auburn game years ago at Foster Auditorium. I don't know her name, but she's top on the list too. That was a good one. All right, so
the Auburn girl who started the fight.
I think it was too, actually.
Anyway.
When we get back, some more comments about what's going on down at the spring meetings in Miramar Beach, Florida, which is also known as a sub division of Destin, I believe.
Yeah,
there's some things, Barry, that just I'm tired of it, and I'll let you know what I'm tired of when we get back.
A little bit later on, not too far from now, Jason Caldwell, AuburnUndercover.com. The NCAA men's baseball regionals get started tomorrow. We'll get a preview from Jason on the Auburn regional. Lots more. Big weekend in recruiting as well. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Ford announces employee pricing on every new 24 and most new 25 Fords, and only at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, up to $1,000 below employee pricing, plus no payments for 90 days. From America, for America, at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, home of America's best-selling truck for nearly 50 years in a row, the F-150, with hundreds to choose from. The Ford Escape, the Ford Edge, and the Ford Bronco, all priced at thousands below invoice. And pack up the crew in a Ford Expedition or a Ford Explorer for the beach, the lake, or the big game. It's all at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where price sells cars.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air rallies for you. No matter the problem, Dixie will tackle it. Their licensed and trusted electricians, plumbers, air and garage door technicians are ready to win for you. From toilets to garbage disposals, circuit breakers to HVAC systems, Dixie never fumbles. Don't throw away your hard-earned money on second-string contracting companies. Score big with Dixie. After all, they are your biggest fan. Visit calldixie.com or dial them up locally at 262-2946. All right, welcome back in. 21 minutes past the hour. Longshore and McKnight in association with our friends at Yellowhammer News. Check it all out at yellowhammernews.com for the latest news, politics, lifestyles, and sports. It's all at yellowhammernews.com. I've talked about this before, but yesterday it really started getting at me again. Hearing a lot of noise down at these meetings. I'm ready for some action. I'm tired of all these ideas and all these plans and this, that, and the other. Let's get it done. But I know they're worried about this House settlement. They're waiting for that to pan out so they can really make more of a informed decision. But this is what really gripes me, and it has for years. I'm hearing a lot of noise about this. Well, I don't know about the 9 games conference schedule. You know, we've been playing 8 for a while, and if we play 9, you know, we might eliminate some teams from bowl games, and they, you know, might not be able to make the playoff with another conference game, blah, blah, blah. You know, how about having more of a positive attitude? We might win those games, and that will put us in a better position for postseason. None of this, well, you know, we might lose it and we might not be able to go to the Weed Whacker Bowl and my fans and alumni base are going to get mad and I might get fired. So, no, I want to play 8 and then I also want to play 4 crappy non-conference games if I can get away with it. I mean, give the fans what they want. And in this day and age, they don't want crap, particularly for what you're charging for people to go watch college football. This mindset of we might lose drives me insane.
No, number one, does John think everything ought to be up to the fans? Everything. All the decisions should be up to the fans. Let's get a big poll together. What was the name of the thing that we used to have, the ratings that we used to have to, like Arbitron or something like that?
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking, who's voting on this stuff?
Yeah, no.
You know, I mean, our ratings were always terrific and we were always blessed and thankful and everything. But I'm thinking, who are these people? Because I only ever heard of one. Next year will be my 40th year in broadcasting. Oh, and I've only ever met one person who says, hey, I got one of those Arbitron books and I filled them out and I put your name on it. Okay, really?
I used to try to find people that got them and I'd fill them out for them.
Yeah, I'll take that off your hands. But here's where I think John is misreading the mindset of the athletic directors out there.
Yeah.
Number one, you got somebody in like Mississippi State. Sure. More opportunity to play an SEC game means probably more money in your athletic department from ESPN or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not like Oh, we may lose. And especially when John uses that voice, we may lose. It's going to get, we won't be able to make my bonus if we have to play another one and lose that one. All I'm thinking about are the Mississippi States and Arkansas that John hikes his legs up at. They're saying, man, it's already hard enough.
Well, that's their problem.
How in the world am I going
to get better?
A hard time.
Get better. Don't give me this. Well, it's hard enough for us to. What do you mean? Yeah. Then get better. Don't give. You've been waddling around, farting around. Then do something to get better instead of using this excuse of, no, we don't want to play another conference game. You're making it harder on us. Well, you can still lose to Arkansas Pine Bluff as well. I've seen that happen. And your fans don't want to see you play Arkansas Pine Bluff. Yeah. They want to see you play Notre Dame, who Arkansas's got on their schedule this year. And as the way college athletics is trending, I think the fans have a lot to do with it. You've got to keep your customer base happy.
But that's not the be-all, end-all decision makers of everything. Hey, you guys want an extra SEC game?
Then what is? Because if you're not keeping your customer base happy and they quit buying tickets and they quit supporting your program because they're tired of these crappy games you're shoving down their throats to make them play, then what is? Oh, well, we want to make sure the athletes, win?
It's the same thing. Team? It's the same thing as why I don't trust politicians who all their decisions are made. What do the polls say? What do the polls say we should do? I mean, all you are there is just a big order taker. I would flatter myself to think that the athletics directors have a better read on the issues and the ramifications than some 325-pound guy who hasn't done anything athletic in 15 years sitting in his double wide in Ider, Alabama. I would think that they would have a better read on exactly the flow of things. But on the other side of it, I am with you on the fact that somebody needs to make something happen. Somebody needs to get.
Well, there again, Barry, we're talking about the same things over and over. For the last 3 or 4 years, these Springs meetings, they've talked about 8 or 9 games. Quit talking about it. Either do it or shut up. I'm tired of hearing about it. Greg Gurn did say something I thought was very interesting, and he mentioned the fans. The reason they've put 2 Power 5 non-conference teams on the schedule for the next 10 years is because the fans want it. That's what they want to watch. Now, I'm sorry that Mississippi State doesn't want to do that. I believe their fans would want that instead of playing Southern Miss in Hattiesburg, but that's their own problem. And I don't think that we should be worried about Mississippi State bringing the whole league down.
Well,
but if they want to play 8, that's fine. But my thing with 8 is, okay, you got to play at least 2 good non-conference games. I'll give you 2 crappy games to play with, but at least give me 10 good games if I'm going to be spending all that money and for those seat licenses and taking the time and the effort to get to wherever I got to go. Give me something to go for.
Well, I'm not saying the fans shouldn't be consulted for anything. I'm just thinking if you're letting them drive your decisions, all you are is, you've got, all you are is just an order taker, All right, what should we do? Hey, fans, let's get a big poll together. What should we do about this? What should I do? Should I sign this or not? Everything getting down to the fans. A lot of it is, I get that. Here's what Sankey said yesterday with Paul Feinbaum on at the SEC meetings. And I'm surprised some people on our chat line fell for this. When you see a tweet from somebody and they say, Greg Sankey says the SEC will pull out of the NCAA for the 28-29 year, and nowhere else do you see it on social media, you might need to check that, okay? Yeah. Sankey said, I don't have the authority to pull out of the NCAA. The commissioner works at the behest of the chancellors and the presidents and stuff. He says, what's our position? He says, we felt, and I still think we feel, that an autonomy division within the NCAA is the best direction. That you're still an NCAA member, but you get to dictate a lot of what you do aside from everybody else in the league. He also says, we've wasted all the time we've wasted in the college football playoff not making decisions has created a time crunch for us. He said, my line of thinking is, He said, insufficient time to make a decision about 8 or 9 games, which tends towards people still thinking about 8. I tend to think we should play 9 and we'll be fine. So, the people want 8, or the people are happy with 8. He wants 9. Why? Because that extra, whatever it was, several $100 million from ESPN to play that 9th game as much as anything else. Well, but I'm with John in that there needs to be some action going on.
Yeah, but this has been going on for 3 years. I'm tired of hearing it. 8 or 9, let's make a decision and move on. I know this house settlement thing is really kind of stalling everything to make some big decisions, whether it's 8 or 9, whether it's 16 in the playoff. But gee whiz, I'm ready to make some decisions on this. And as I've said it so many times before, Barry, and I'm standing by it, even though I want 9 conference games, I still want at least one quality big-time non-conference game, because I think non-conference matchups are a huge part of college athletics, a huge part of college football. I love the matchups between teams from across the country getting together. I know that's 10 tough ones, but I think we can handle it. They give you 2 patsies and 10 quality games.
Yeah, and if you don't win them, then fire them. Get them out of there. Find somebody.
Yeah, exactly. I hate the attitude of, we can't play 9 games. We might lose one. Well, you know what? You might win it too.
When we come back, Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover, joins us. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Located just 8 miles north of Alabama's state capital, Capitol Hill features 3 18-hole championship courses. With more than 1,500 acres of golf and nature, the pure magnitude of this facility is amazing and allows each course to be drastically different from the others. Capitol Hill also features an innovative 360-degree driving range, 400 yards in diameter. Capitol Hill offers a fully stocked pro shop with the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com/Capitol Hill for tee times and more information.
All right, man, grab a Budweiser and take a knee. It is the best time of the year. It's baseball season. That means sunshine. It means behind-the-back peanut tosses. And it means sharing some cold, frosty Budweisers with your boys. Because there's nothing more American than watching America's game with America's beer. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to bring your A game? Are you ready to cheer every frozen rope down the line and amazing catch at the warning track? Are you ready for pitchers' duels and slugfests? Tell me, are you ready for the thrill of an incredible walk-off victory? I can't hear you. Are you ready for Budweiser and baseball? Then get on your feet, raise an ice-cold Bud, and let's make this season larger than life. Great times are waiting. Get some Bud!
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
All guests of Longshore McKnight appear on the City of Montgomery guest hotline. Check out the most interesting and informed personalities in sports covering Auburn, Alabama, Troy, ASU, and all the major teams from across the country. John and Barry have the best guests brought to you by the City of Montgomery. To find out everything you need to know that is going on in the capital city, check out montgomeryal.gov. That's montgomeryal.gov, the capital of dreams.
Okay, about 26 minutes to the top of the hour. Our man Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover, joining us here on our City of Montgomery guest hotline. Hey, Jason, good morning. Good to see you.
Morning, guys. How are y'all?
Doing really well. Got some things that I think are probably more important to talk about from a great grand scheme, but we got to be timely and go on a timeline here. First of all, the news about Tahad Pettiford withdrawing from the NBA draft. A, what do you think informed that decision? And B, what's the impact on the basketball program at Auburn?
Yeah, I think just, can you guarantee that you're a first rounder? I don't know that there was a guarantee there. And so I think he made a really good decision. I think it's something that is different now than it would have been, 5 years ago, he's gone. Now because you can actually make some money now and change some of those decisions a little bit. It enabled him to be able to come back, and it's massive for Auburn when you look at it. When you start talking about the only guy that's back from last year, and the guy that now will be his team. There's no question about that, in my opinion. He's a guy that's going to be able to run the show. He knows it, and he'll have to get everybody else up to speed on the system and everything that's expected this summer. But yeah, it's a really big deal.
Jason, would it shock you if Bruce Pearl wanted to take over Tommy Tuberville's seat in the U.S. Senate?
I have no idea. I don't know. Nothing shocks me nowadays. So no, I don't know.
The winds are saying he's not
really
going
thought about it, so I don't really know. Hey, if he wants to, have at it. But
yeah, I've heard his name associated with it. I'd be surprised, but who knows? I just was wondering maybe what the vibe over on the plains was like, if there was any at all.
Yeah.
No, I mean, not that I've talked to anybody about. No, so.
Tomorrow at 1:00, I believe, the Auburn Baseball Regional gets underway. North Carolina State, Stetson, Auburn, Central Connecticut State. Give our fans a preview of this regional. Do you like it? Is it competitive? Where are the landmines for Auburn? And what's it going to take for Auburn to advance?
Yeah, I think the landmines are in baseball that it all depends on pitching, and you might run into a guy who's really good one day and you can be in trouble. So that's always a landmine when you talk about regional play. So I think for Auburn, if your offense comes to play, and I think that's the key for this team, pitching is always going to be important. But I think for Auburn, this is a team that we thought the offense was going to lead the way on. And when they swung the bat well, they're really tough to beat. And so I think that'll be the key for that team this weekend. But you look at the other side of things, Central Connecticut State has the nation's leading hitter, and you look at them offensively, they've done some things. But they got a guy hitting 458 with 9 home runs and 17 doubles. So he's been really good. But they also have not played a single Power 4 opponent this year.
Oh, wow.
Really the largest team they've played this season, St. John's. And so you look at it, you go, really an unknown on that side of things. And then you look, NC State kind of rebuilt offense and position player group after they went to the College World Series last year, but they got 2 lefties that are really good on the mound. So that's been kind of a struggle for Auburn. Stetson has a team that runs a lot. They have a really good lefty starting pitcher and a really good closer. If you're Auburn, you go, hey, might not be the worst thing in the world for them to win and use both those guys on Friday. But no matter what, you're going to have to win some games. Auburn's been pretty good at home, and so can they continue to play that way? That'll be the key.
And just how big playing at home. I mean, the atmosphere there in Auburn at the ballpark with the expansions and renovations, and understand they're expecting standing room only crowds.
Yeah, and they've added some standing room only areas as well. Above the concourse, they've added some standing room only areas that will actually be inside the stadium now. I think they've done more standing room only areas for students in right center as well. So they've added some areas for more folks around the stadium. So, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see this thing get close to 8,000 before we get done sometime this weekend.
I've not asked this in this particular way, but Auburn's a number 4 national seed, Jason. Can you speak strictly from your perspective on the job Butch Thompson has done with this year's team?
Yeah, I think if you look at it, you look and you go, I mean, Sam Dutt's been really good, but there's, you look at this team and you go, there's not really a legit Friday night guy where you go, man, that's a first round draft pick kind of guy. They don't have one of those guys. They've got some of those guys with that potential, but they don't have one of those guys that you go, hey, that guy's a dominant 100-mile-an-hour Friday night guy. And so they've been able to do it by piecing things together on the mound. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the team that Butch, when he was the pitching coach at Mississippi State, when they lost in the national championship, they had a guy like Ross Mitchell who came out of the bullpen and won like 13 games as a reliever. And so that was really their recipe was, hey, get to the bullpen and piece things together. And that's really been the case for this team. Dutton's been really good. But you look at the rest of it, and it's been, a combination of Parker Carlson and Dylan Watts, and Carson Myers has been really good out of the bullpen, getting to Ryan Hetzer on the back end of games. And so it's kind of been, hey, putting pieces together and backing guys up. Cade Fisher's really come on out of the bullpen lately. And so, I think they've done a great job, but, just playing a really tough schedule. And this is a team that kind of reminds you of the teams that Hal Baird had, where you look at it and you go, one game scenario, that's a team that you go, okay, but to beat them 2 out of 3 games is a more difficult task, especially at home, because they've got some depth and they've got some pieces. And so I think that's what you're counting on for Auburn, is going, hey, now it's a little bit more of a long haul game. And can you show that depth over the course of 2 or 3 days?
Jason, the SEC spring meetings down in Destin, anything caught your attention?
Yeah, you guys were talking a little bit about it. I'll go a little bit different direction. Yeah, I'm for 9 games. You're going to get more teams in. But I can't stand the fact that you're going to demand to have 4 teams in there. Can't stand it.
Yeah.
Like, you'll get in. If you're good enough, you'll get in. It reeks of everybody gets a trophy for me, and I don't like it. If you're good enough, you'll get in. You're in the Southeastern Conference. You don't have to go demand it, because what happens when you only have one team that's good enough one year, or if the Big Ten only has one team that's good enough one year, and all of a sudden the 4th team gets in that's 7-5, then we're going to blow the whole thing up again. Just look, you're going to get in. You got to get enough teams. You're fine. Don't demand it.
What about Kiffin's idea of just picking the best 16 teams?
I'm fine with that. I think the same thing when we were talking, like a baseball, like an NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Basketball. I'm all for going, hey, let's pick the best 16 teams and go for it. Just like I think about when you go to baseball and basketball and you're picking 64 teams, 1 through 32. Now, once you get past 32, it's splitting hairs. But 1 through 32, you should seed 1 through 32. And one should play 32 unless they're in the same conference. And then you go, well, you play 31 and 2 will play 32. But try to, as much as possible, give the 1 through 32 matchups credence from an RPI standpoint, whatever you want to do. 3s and 4s, hey, you won't be able to do that. But the 1 seed should play the worst 2 seed. The number 2 seed should play the next worst 2 seed, and so forth. So then when you get to it, 16 should play 17. So that should be the most difficult 2, should be the last 1 seed. Same thing in football. Hey, let's seed it 1 through 16. And if you're going to, or however many, if you're still giving buys, then like last year, the buys should go to 1 through 4 and then move everybody forward. You can do that. There's ways to do it now, but I would much rather see that than start gifting people 4 or 5 spots, out of the gate.
That makes a lot of sense to me as well. With the transfer portal, Kirby Smart's been getting loose about the transfer portal, and just having too many opportunities for student athletes to leave and not enough opportunities for the coaches to firm up their roster. What's the perfect solution, Jason?
Yeah, I don't know that there is a perfect solution right now until you can start to have some guardrails to begin with. To me, that you have to start going, hey, you got to give somebody 2 years. You got to have a guideline to go when you sign someone, you got to know that they're there at least 2 years before you can. So at least you have an idea of, in general, what your roster is going to look like. So allowing people to transfer every year, even if you cut down the windows, still it leaves so much room. Hey, you're getting paid, you're getting money, you're getting scholarship, you're getting insurance, you're getting all those things. Okay, you should stay. You can stay for 2 years. You can do that. You can give somebody a little bit more of your time because of their investing in you. Right now, they're investing in guys, and it was crazy because we had this conversation online one day, and somebody was talking about how's it changed. How's it different from a fan perspective? And Steve Robertson, who covers Mississippi State, said, look, he talked to a fan, or dad had said, look, I can't buy a jersey for my son because there's no guarantee that guy's going to be there for 4 years. And I'm like, there ain't no guarantee he's going to be there before he ever wears it the first time. That's the problem right now. Yeah. And I think, and the people that, Greg Sankey, I know they want to fix it. They don't understand, though, that it's impacting fans. The NIL is impacting fans. The transfer portal, it's impacting people, because if they saw it from our side of things, people care less about recruiting. They care less about things than they ever have before, ever. They better find out a way, because, people are still going and they'll still watch games on TV, but it is having an impact, and they better do something about it quickly.
And I'm with you, Jason. I kind of always look at it from a business standpoint, and what are you giving your customers, the fans? We know how much it costs to go to a game, and the seat licensing, and the time and money and effort it takes to go to a game on a Saturday. You got to give them what they want, and whether it's scheduling or having players at least be a part of your program for a longer period of time than 6 months or a year. I get it. I mean, I sense it. I think you sense it as well. There's a little apathy from the fan base. They're a little tired of it.
Yeah, no, I think it's everywhere. And even when you're winning, obviously you go like, hey, Auburn has been a struggle the last few years. It's even when you're winning, it doesn't matter as much. And I think part of it too is, I think accessibility is a big deal, and there's less than there's ever been. But I think accessibility for fans, meaning, hey, let them come watch a practice. Have some time where they can feel like they're a part of things, and they're just not just, well, here we go, we're going to open the door on Saturday, give us all your money, and we'll play football for you. That's not how this thing started. That's not how it was. I believe that's a big deal, and coaches nowadays don't understand that for the most part. And I understand you got to keep secrets and understand all those things, but you can let people feel like they're a part of a program, and when you do that, then you may have a chance to kind of keep those people invested and bought in. And the sad part is that with every passing day, it's like thinking about NFL. Think about NFL crowd. How many kids you see in an NFL crowd? Not many. Well, one reason why is because the atmosphere and everything that goes on. Well, that's now coming to college. That's now the atmosphere you're starting to have at college games for a number of reasons, which is, but that's, you don't want that. You want children growing up, going to games and growing up as part of this. That's getting less and less every day.
I hadn't thought about it in that context. That makes sense. Real quick,
Jason, I've heard athletic directors talk about the importance of making sure they get that younger customer base. These guys, they're graduating from college. They're the next line that's going to be buying those seat licensing, buying those season tickets. You got to make it where it's enticing for them to want to do it.
Yeah, and I think it has to be more than college students, though.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I think it has to be kids who grow up going, man, that's I want to do that, because that's what we did. That's what you did. Like I remember, one of the most exciting parts was, my dad said, hey, somebody gave us some tickets. We're going to go to a game. That was great. Now it's hard to find somebody that's going to give you tickets and be able to go to a game. Now it's, you get tickets that if you don't go, you're going to have to sell them to somebody because you're paying so much money
for them. Yeah. I hadn't thought about it like that. Real quick, just a passing thought here. Have you had a chance to drive by the north side of Jordan-Hare Stadium? Is it up? Is it close to ready?
It's there. Actually was at baseball yesterday, and from our press box area in baseball, now you can see most of the video board on the other end. And so it's up. They got the Auburn Tigers below it.
Right.
So you can see most of that video board. And so, yeah, it's enough that you could, from that right field area at Plainsman Park, you could probably watch TV on the other end of the stadium. You could watch some things there. So, but it should be ready to roll when they get on the field this fall, and got just kind of putting the finishing touches on it right now.
What are the focuses in coverage for the next week or so since the next time we talk to you, with you and all the staff at auburnundercover.com, Jason?
Yeah, Nathan King, if you haven't looked at it, he did an incredible job yesterday of kind of resetting Auburn's basketball roster with not only Tahad Pettifer coming back, but Filip Jovic coming in as well. You add the Serbian 6'9" forward. So you start looking at kind of the pieces of the roster, so you can check that out. It's definitely worth a read. But a lot of baseball coverage coming up this weekend. See if the Tigers can earn a super regional at Plainsman Park for the first time ever.
That's just hard for me to believe.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that'll be this weekend as well. And then, 13, 14 of football official visits this weekend as well. And their first elite camp Sunday. So just a couple of small things going on this weekend. So we have all hands on deck for what should be a pretty busy weekend. So
outstanding, Jason. As always, we really appreciate your time. Always look forward to it. Great insight and information, and some great content at auburnundercover.com. Any other way our viewers and listeners can follow you as well, Jason?
Yeah, you can check us out. Of course, auburnundercover.com, part of the 24/7 network. You can find me on Twitter at ITATJason, and then Auburn Undercover on all the social media platforms. We have a podcast going up this morning where we kind of run through everything as well at Auburn Undercover on our YouTube page, but Twitter, all those social media things, you can find us there as well.
Great stuff, Jason. Thanks very much, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Man, on our City of Montgomery guest hotline, Jason Caldwell with some great insight and information.
There you go.
Every chance.
The perfect segment. I mean, there wasn't anything on there, not one word that I disagreed with. Not
really?
One. Yeah. Not from him anyway. From Jason specifically.
I'm losing my mojo.
No. Let's take a break. Coming up at the top of the hour, Rodney Orr, TigerInsider.com, in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Uh-oh, that's not good.
Oh,
we just lost Gurn Jr.
My notes.
There he is.
I see he's back up.
Yeah, he's back. Yep. Let's take a break in association with Yellowhammer News, Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Marianne is with us at Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry. Gosh, there's a lot of things going on at Marguerite's right now. Marianne, give us an example or two.
Sure. Okay. Well, it's crazy. Tons of things are going on. We've got graduations coming up, lots of different anniversaries. We've had tons of upgrades or people getting engaged. Of course, Marguerite's has an amazing selection of diamonds, loose and mounted. We've had some people wanting to come in and needing to get engaged on the spot almost. And guess what? We have an in-stock jeweler, so we can make that happen for them.
How has Earring Fest gone? I can imagine that it has been spectacular, Marianne.
Yes, Earring Fest is great. We have tons of selections, more than honestly we've ever had before. Dangles, hoops, studs, you name it, we've got it.
What about for the graduate? A lot of, like you mentioned, a lot of people are graduating or are about to graduate. What's the go-to? What's been the most popular graduation gift?
Well, go-tos, of course, I'm thinking maybe the baby cross. It's beautiful. It's small. I have it. And a lot of people get turned off. They're like, baby, no, this is like for a graduate. But it's just a smaller cross, delicate, something you can have forever, as well as solitaires. Diamond by the yards are great because it's a wonderful layering piece, something that they could wear through sorority recruitment if they're going to do that. And we also have lots of strands of pearls, a classic gift that they can wear in graduation or any of the senior pictures, and watches and cufflinks for guys. We have those in stock, and they're wonderful pieces instead of just, giving them a Dillard's or Visa gift card. Makes it special.
One more question I've got about it. What about those people who at this time of the year they really like to get into their jewelry boxes or look in the back of the drawers? It's time to do maybe some late spring cleaning. Right. Can they trade up some of those jewels?
Of course, yes. There's no reason for jewelry to collect dust, especially if Marguerite's is right around the corner or within driving distance. You just load it up. It doesn't matter if you're not sure if it's costume or not. Bring it in. We can test it for you. There's absolutely no charge to that. And then we'll give you an amount that we can write you a check for, or you get times and a half if you want to trade those items in and get something new, or we can always renovate those pieces and make a custom piece like we did for your sweet wife. Yeah. And so it would better be a piece that they could wear and always treasure.
You can always tell how much it means to Marianne to be able to help, because she helped with that piece for my wife 3 or 4 years ago, and she still takes pride in it. So does Marianne. Anytime she gets a chance to help. Marianne, you mentioned that it's very conveniently located, Pepper Tree Center next to Chappie's Deli on Vaughn Road, and the hours are convenient as well.
Definitely. We're open 7 days a week, 10 to 5:30 Monday through Friday, 10 to 5 on Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sunday.
Gosh, go by Marguerite's. No reason not to let them help you with the wonderful gift-giving opportunities everybody has in their life. Go to Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry. Thanks, Marianne.
Thanks.
All right, a couple of minutes to the top of the hour here on a Thursday with Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light in association with our friends at Yellowhammer News. Check it all out at yellowhammernews.com. The Lane Kiffin comment, I can't imagine Greg Sankey liked hearing that, kind of referencing what Jason Caldwell said about he doesn't like the 4 automatic bids. And to me, as an SEC fan, I mean, I love the fact that there'd be 4 teams guaranteed to get in, but what if that 4 teams crappy? Yeah. I don't really like
you leave out somebody who's really good just because they're not in the SEC or the Big Ten.
And I know they want to get as many teams in as possible, but Barry, I can't imagine many years where the SEC doesn't have 4 teams that are going to make the
See,
16-team playoff.
That's the thing. It really is not going to matter, because especially if it gets to 16, that's the way it's going to be. Now, I know there are some of the old fogies out there who will say, well, you shouldn't have let them in. I know they were the second best team in the ACC, but they didn't play no SEC schedule, and the SEC is so much better than everybody else. It's harder to finish 4th in the SEC than it is to finish 2nd in the Big 12 and all that kind of stuff. That's the only flaw I find in what Kiffin's got to say. He says, hey, just put the 16 best teams. And the flaw there is, okay, who gets to decide who's best? What do you mean best? Are you talking about the fabled Longshore eye test or actual results, or the whatever you call it, the Pro Football Focus team ratings or something like that? That's the only flaw I've got in the whole thing.
I was thinking top of the mind. I said, well, just, let the ones that are spending all the money decide who gets to play. But we know who that would be every year.
Yeah, every year. Also, we mentioned, there's some things going on. SEC meetings are going to be wrapping up. I think tomorrow's the day they cut the checks and then they all leave town. Women's College World Series starts today. The NCAA baseball regional start tomorrow. And I told you this earlier in the week. You'll hear it more from the SEC later today. I think it's at noon or 1 o'clock today. And you're already seeing some leaks out there about upcoming television games.
Yeah. What do you hear?
I don't know how this would work. And I'm just going to read it. This is from the Big 12. Arizona State, Arizona, Texas Tech, Brett McMurphy on Twitter says the Big 12 opening 3 weeks on TNT and HBO Max.
Do I have that?
They also
say, I don't think I do.
They also say TNT and HBO Max will also broadcast 2 first-round college football playoff games this year. It doesn't surprise me about TNT because, I mean, my gosh, the only thing they do sports-wise, it feels like, is the NBA and the first couple of rounds of March Madness.
Yep.
They've got August 30th, Hawaii at Arizona, 9:30 Central Time. Catch-up game. That'll be on TNT. Kent State at Texas Tech on September 6th. Texas State, Arizona State, September 13th. So,
who?
HBO. I mean, these are Big 12 schools, Jerry. These are Big 12 schools, John. Arizona, Texas Tech, Arizona State, HBO Max. I didn't realize that was even in play. Will the SEC do something like that? Do we think? Will we have the SEC on, I don't know, Showtime or Cinemax or?
I'm not going to say no because if somebody's willing to pay them, probably they would do it. But they've got such a lucrative deal with ESPN and Disney right now. I don't see them moving away from that at all. So I think you're going to see the ESPN ABC lineup for quite some time.
That just the shocking thing isn't, oh, wow, Texas Tech and Arizona State, September the 3rd. The shocking thing is TNT and HBO Max.
Well, let me ask you this.
I got to buy HBO Max if I want to watch Arizona, where my niece goes to college?
Unless I've got a bet on the game and the rest of America, who in the world's watching Texas Tech and Arizona State on HBO Max at 10 o'clock at night?
You mean Arizona State college football playoff darling from last year?
Yeah. I mean, forget about all that. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Accomplishments.
I mean,
anyway, so you're going to start to see those
Saturday
things
night at 10:30.
I
don't need to be watching football on anything Max, like the old Cinemax days.
Yeah, he's watching other stuff.
Yeah.
At 10:30 on a Saturday night.
Hey, I want to give a reminder out to all of the Tider Insider listeners all over the state. Because, of course, this segment with Rodney, Rodney puts it on the Tider Insider website for everybody to listen to the great interviews that we do with Rodney each and every week. Of course, the good folks at the Destin Connection Seafood Market sponsor this segment that Rodney's on, and they will remind everybody that the Destin Connection Seafood Market is your crawfish headquarters through the month of June for both spicy boiled and live crawfish. So if you're interested in that, our good friends at the Destin Connection, 3750 Norman Bridge Road, call ahead 288-4272. Your order will be ready for pickup. Both spicy boiled and live crawfish. The Destin Connection Seafood Market, bringing you the Tider Insider, Rodney Orr.
Hey there, Rodney. How are you doing?
It's been a wild one, guys.
Well, where do you want to start?
What's going on? What's top of the mind awareness here for you, Rodney?
well, you know, it was already kind of, you got the start of recruiting. I mean, obviously the visit's coming up, and these SEC meetings that I really don't care anything about actually, but people talk about a lot, and that's enough, right? For right now. And then all of a sudden, about 10 o'clock last night or whatever time it was,
right.
I'm about ready to say, okay, I'm getting in bed.
Yep.
And this LeBaron Philon stuff breaks.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people up all night celebrating it. I can't.
Oh, yeah. and the place to celebrate, I was surprised about that because I thought for sure he was going to the NBA regardless. I was surprised about that, but the place to celebrate that is the forums on TiderInsider.com. It was uniformly jubilant over there. That's big news for the Tide, Rod.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a celebration like that over a basketball player. Of course, this is a new era, NIL and the opportunity to come back. And there was a good question there, John and Barry. And somebody asked this morning, I mean, it's a simple question, but at the same time, it's a really good one. And that was, would LeBaron Philon have returned if not for the NIL?
What do you think?
You know, he probably NIL is probably the reason he came back, because he probably saw an opportunity to make more money, and I don't know how much it is, but it might be best for his future this year to come back and play, make a good amount of money, whatever that is, and then next year try his hand at it and be maybe a higher draft pick.
You know, Rodney, I think just going through the process, the evaluation process, all that goes on with that, getting in front of a lot of people, gaining that experience, then coming back, probably making somewhere in the $2 million range if I had to guess. Play another year, hone your skills, go back at it next year, knowing what you know and experienced the year before. To me, that's invaluable. I think that's really going to pay dividends for him.
No doubt. I think that's all correct. And I think, again, it goes back to that deal. I think the NIL allowed that to happen, obviously. It opened the door for that to happen, for him to come back. And, so maybe NIL is not so bad after all. I mean, I do think it can be good. And I will say this, though, like we said, to emphasize this, the Alabama basketball fandom is they're at a high today.
Well, that not just for that. I know how active the open forum is for a weekend like this coming weekend. You mentioned it briefly. Obviously, everybody wants for you to get in depth about this, but official visits are getting started this weekend in Tuscaloosa. That means a whole lot of stars, 5 stars, 4 stars, all that kind of stuff are in town. Give us a thumbnail sketch, Rodney.
Yeah, it's kind of like we always say, visits are subject to change, and there's been a couple of changes. Ryan Mosley, who was a wide receiver from Carrollton, Georgia, apparently committed to Georgia yesterday, which didn't surprise us. That we kind of said on Tighter and Tighter TV, we thought he was leaning on Tuesday night. We thought he was leaning to Georgia, so he won't be coming in. But in his place is an LSU commitment at wide receiver, Kenny Darby from Bossier City, Louisiana. He's a highly rated player, 4-star rated player. I think John and Barry, I counted last night. I had to recount it, and I think there's 13 4-stars and 1 5-star on the current list. So that's pretty good. I mean, if you go by the rankings, but they have some of those guys are going to move up too. But yeah, they've got everybody from Jet Washington, a 6'5" safety from Las Vegas, Nevada, to Jet Tamala, who's coming on a unofficial visit. He is a quarterback from Omaha, Nebraska, of all places. Threw for over 3,600 yards, 47 touchdowns, 3 interceptions last year. I think he's thrown for over 70 touchdowns the last couple of years. But he's coming in, so that's interesting. He's an Iowa State commit, coming in on an unofficial. So if he schedules an official after this, get ready. Yeah. Because that's probably a sign that he's going to flip to Alabama. So we'll see what happens there. But, a lot of great players coming in.
Ron, let me ask you, let me see how I can delicately position this question.
It doesn't come naturally to him, so he's got to work on it a little bit.
There's another program in this state that seems to be crowing about how well they're doing with in-state recruiting. Now, my position there, Roddy, has been I don't really care where you're from. I just want the best player no matter where you live. In saying that, and certainly Alabama's done a really good job of recruiting nationally under Nick Saban and under Kalen DeBoer for that matter. Is there an emphasis on in-state players, or is the mentality, if they're good, we're going to recruit them. But if we think there's somebody better outside the state, we're going to go for them. I guess in bringing it all together, is recruiting in-state talent that big of a deal?
I think it's the priority is the best player, the best fit, no matter where they're from. Now, if they're in state, you certainly want to get those guys. And Alabama's doing a really good job working that. I mean, obviously they have Zion Gibson already committed from Gadsden City. He's a highly rated player. They've got Cam Johnson from up in Muscle Shoals. They've got the kid that transferred over to Gainesville, Georgia. I still say he's an Alabama kid. Jamarian Matthews, defensive end, outside backer. So they're doing well. But here's the thing. Xavier Crowell,
Yes.
not Croyle, but Crowell. He is the top back in the state. He's obviously one of the top backs in the country. Would have been the number one back in the 2027 class. He reclassified. He's from Jackson, Alabama. He's going to announce on June 26th, I believe it is. So that's right after his Alabama visit. I feel good about Alabama there. So that would be a major coup in state. I like Alabama's position with Cedarian Morgan, who is an incredible receiver, might be the best receiver in the country, one of the top 3 or 4 from Benjamin Russell. Auburn's in there too, so I'm not predicting right now that it's Alabama, but I am saying that I really like Alabama's position there. You land those two, then it comes down to Anthony Tank Jones out of St. Paul's down in Mobile, who's got a lot of impressive visits. He's coming to Alabama here later in June. If you land those 3, then you've done a pretty incredible job in the state of Alabama. And I think it's not unreasonable to think that could happen. I want to be clear. I don't know that we're predicting it, especially it's so unpredictable now.
Right.
But so I think they're doing really, really well. I think it was that really John and Barry just kind of getting acclimated and developing these relationships that they needed. So, yes, it is important to get the best players in the state.
It's interesting to me that we've had a couple of requests earlier in the week, not today, to find out what we could about a 6'7" walk-on quarterback coming to Alabama from California. It reminded me maybe, why would a quarterback walk on at Alabama when they're recruiting 4 and 5 stars all over the place? But it reminded me of that little period of time you remember when Gardner Minshew was I think enrolled in Alabama. And you think, why in the world would he do that when they're stacked at quarterback? Yep. What's the story behind this guy, Rodney?
And I hate to say this, John and Barry, but it's true.
Oh,
I don't know that much about this kid. I haven't had. I know who you're talking about. The kid out of California, 6'7". They promoted that he's going to be a walk-on and all of this. I haven't really had a chance to look into him that much. I do know that. Yes, I talked to someone yesterday about it, and they said, well, why would you, well, first of all, you've got 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You've got 3 quarterbacks. You got to, and I know they've got some walk-ons that are around, but to be able to bring in a kid that's, got some size to him, he's got maybe some potential. If you had an emergency and had to go to somebody, you always want to have somebody there, right? And again, I don't know that much about him other than the things that you mentioned. But that's why. I mean, you've got to have some. And look, this too. It's not just that. It's this too. You got to have some arms when you're going through practices. I mean, there's a lot going on. You got to save some of these other guys. So he gives them another arm in the practices to utilize.
Does that sound familiar to you, John?
It sounds very
familiar. Maybe hey, Longshore, just throw. Just stop. Just
only
throw
problem
the ball
was I never
accurately.
got that chance. The starter never got hurt ever. But hey, you got to have it's like an insurance policy. You got to have it there just in case.
John's nickname was Prudential whenever he was playing. Here's the insurance policy.
Let me say this. You mentioned Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
And the reason he was coming to Alabama, Gardner Minshew, but he was at East Carolina, I think.
Yeah.
And he was transferring. He's going to be a grad transfer. Tua was here, and Hurts was here still. But Minshew was coming because he wanted to play under Saban for his future as a coach. And what happened was he was working out a guy somehow connected with Mike Leach and said, hey, we got a kid down here working out. You need to look at this guy. He's better than sitting on the bench at Alabama, and then he went to Washington State. You saw what happened.
Yeah.
So that's the story behind that.
Yeah. And I was thinking that I had thought that. I remember you had said something about that many years ago when we had asked you about it. And I was thinking maybe that was this kid's deal. This Gazzaniga just, I mean, playing, not understatement, but playing at Alabama either would A, probably help his standing as a coach, or B, might boost his recruiting up a little bit,
Exactly.
So, Rodney, you mentioned the SEC spring meetings. I'm with you. I'm a little perturbed about what's been going on because I've been hearing the same thing for the last 3 years and nothing has happened. I'm tired of hearing about, are we playing 8 conference games or are we going to play 9? Is it going to be a 16-team playoff? Or are we going to stay where it is? They're going to move the transfer portal window. Okay, been hearing it. I'm tired of the talk. I'm ready for some action. It does look like Greg Sankey, well, he said it. He's in favor of 9 conference games. But as he said to a reporter yesterday, I know there's some programs here that maybe are trying to build their program up and getting to 6 wins and blah, blah, blah. You know what? I'm tired of these teams trying to build a program. They've had 100 years to try to build one. Don't give me this, well, we got to have 6 games. So I think you know which side I stand on. I like the 9 conference games. I certainly love the quality non-conference games. Don't want to lose that because as a consumer of college athletics, I like really good matchups, as many as I can get. And I just think this defeatist attitude of, well, we might lose a game. I want to hear somebody say, well, you know what? We might win that game and strengthen our position in postseason.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like you, John. And again, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I'm sitting here. What really came out of these meetings, and at least publicly, I don't really see anything. I mean, I hear the same things over and over and over, and I'm trying to figure out. Okay, I'm sure they got something accomplished behind the scenes, but whatever that was, we don't. I didn't see it or I didn't pick up on it through the interviews that we saw with Sankey and various ones. But, here's the thing, John. This is another interesting. You talked about the nine conference games.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, because I'm trying to get some clarity on this, they're talking about having this SEC play-in weekend.
Yep.
So if you go to 9 conference games, do you still have that SEC play-in weekend? I'm not really sure what their thoughts are on that, because if you do that and you have 6 teams, I think it is kind of the way it's positioned right now.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, these teams are going to be so beat up the next week when they go. What you're talking about? What would that be? 10 SEC games?
And Barry knows where I'm going with this because I've used it. This has been my rationale since the beginning of time. If you win the state championship in high school football in Alabama, you're playing 17 games. So high school players can do it. Why can't college players?
Well, it's not whether you can, it's whether you should. I think 17 games is too many to ask them to do.
Yeah,
but what's too many? I mean,
here's what I'm looking at. Here's the angle I'm looking at it from, John.
All right.
The best interest of the SEC in terms of winning games in the playoffs, being in good health. Every time you take the field, there's more of a risk. You could lose players. Your players aren't nearly close to 100%. Whatever it is, I think we all agree that playing in the SEC is rugged. And if you play those extra games in the playoffs, you're playing. If you have 9 games, now again, they may not do it if you have 9 games, but let's say hypothetically you go to a 9-game schedule and then you have to play in these play-in games. That's 10 SEC games. And that's a lot. That's a difficult grind. And so then you go into the playoffs, and do you put yourself at it? I'm asking, do you put yourself at a disadvantage going into the playoffs? I mean, you could. I don't know, but
against an Iowa State team who's there representing the Big 12, they didn't have to have those play-in games.
So you're really more talking though about the play-in games rather than 9 conference games.
Right.
Because
I'm saying, if you tack the play-in games on top of that, now I don't know that that's what the thought is. I don't have clarity on that. I'm not sure if anyone does. Maybe you do or somebody.
No,
I don't.
I think it's kind of, I think if they do get the 4 bids, the scenario I've heard is obviously the 1 and 2 teams. Both of them are getting in. One's the conference champ. One's the runner-up. Then the 3, 6, and 4, 5 will play, and the winners of those games move on.
Right.
So
That's
okay.
game.
There's going to be 2 more teams in the playoff that played an extra game, but so did the 1 and 2 team. They played that game as well.
No doubt. I mean,
and we all know they're not getting rid of it because it's money. It's all about and I got to think these networks that are paying all this money, billions of dollars, and reports are they're willing to add another 50 to 80 million if the SEC will go to 9 games. That's going to be hard to turn down.
Yeah, it's coming down to money. There's no doubt. This playoff thing is going to be eventually, hopefully. Here's the thing, John and Barry. Uniformity. Everybody, they've got to have something, I think, eventually where it's kind of like an NFL playoff system, something similar. And I know this is moving in that direction, but I think every conference that's involved in this needs to have something very similar. Their playoffs, whatever it is. Now, again, I know that the ACC and the Big 12, they're not going to get 4 teams in.
Right.
They should be fortunate to get 1 or 2. We'll see. But I mean, I know there's a lot of questions that are going to be asked and answered over the next few years. I'm thinking it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
Your thoughts about the transfer portal? Kirby Smart says it needs to happen in January after the championship weekend, make it that the only time. And to me, it sounds like a pretty good idea right after the season's over and before spring practice starts.
Well, yes, like I said yesterday, if Kirby's on top of it, I mean, and I believe that, he knows where he's going with that. And John, Barry, listen, again, we've been talking about a lot of issues this morning, and I've been scratching my head on most of them.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Why do you have, you're getting ready to play in your championship conference games, maybe now even play-in games, right? That same week, you've got the early signing period, or in that same vicinity, you've got the early signing period. Then all of a sudden, while you're trying to prepare for the playoffs and all of this, you got players hitting the portal.
Crazy.
How does that make sense? I mean, I think it has to be after the season, so these teams are settled going into the playoffs. That's fair. And then after the season, have the portal period, and that'll be a mad scramble, I'm sure. But at the same time, you can't put everything in that same time frame. I just think it's not reasonable. And so from that perspective, yes, I think Kirby was 100% right.
Rodney Orr, TigerInsider.com with the recruiting visits coming in hot and heavy this weekend with all of the things going on around the SEC and a lot of things going on around Alabama athletics. TigerInsider.com is a place for great information, great conversation as well. How can people get involved?
Yeah, Barry, we're going to have a basketball report coming up, kind of running down the roster and the team now is the way it looks with Phylon coming back. And we're going to have that later. We're going to update the recruiting visits as some changes have occurred. But all of that on TigerInsider.com. It's only $48 a year. Again, you can get instant access with your credit card. If you prefer, there is an address there to send a check. And then, of course, our All Sports Forum, that's part of it. Our community there, a lot of exchange going on right now on TigerInsider.com.
It's the best. There's no doubt about it. TigerInsider.com. Make sure you subscribe. Check out TITV. And, of course, Rodney, your book as well. I see that's still up at Tiger Insider as well for people to pick up.
Yeah, it's still going pretty well, actually. And, bigger than Bama, of course. You can go to RodneyOrr.com. or you can go to Amazon, either one.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out. You can get all the details, bigger than Bama, and you can certainly order it at either one of those sites. But yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Somewhere in the background, I got it right here. I'm going to have it ready next time, show everybody what it looks like. I certainly enjoyed it, as we always enjoy your visits. Thanks so much, Rodney.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys. Take care.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much. Rodney Orr, the Tider Insider, brought to you exclusively by our friends at the Destin Connection Seafood Market, reminding all Tider Insider listeners all over the state that, of course, Destin Connection sponsors Rodney's segment, and they want you to know that it's your crawfish headquarters through the end of June for both spicy, boiled, and live crawfish. Destin Connection has them there for you, along with everything else, direct from the Gulf of America, delivered daily. The Destin Connection Seafood Market, 3750 Norman Bridge Road. Call ahead 288-4272.
Well, that reminds me, coming up in our next segment, a few opinions.
Yeah.
In our next segment, one from our buddy Range Pro. The memorial gets underway today. Range Pro's got some picks. And also, we still owe you another Phantom Daily Dog.
It's coming.
That's coming in our next segment as well. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders.
On the basketball court, the soccer pitch, or even the golf course, your crew brings their best not just for the win, but for that post-game celebration. When victory tastes like Michelob Ultra, it's worth every drop of sweat. And if you don't win, you'll still get the beer. It's just on you. Superior is worth playing for. Michelob Ultra, 2.6 carbs, 95 calories. Superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025, Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
You're not buying sticks, stems, and pine cones. You're buying premium long-diddle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River region, full of color that will last all season long. Kenny has locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small, from a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load. Pickup is available, or your order can be delivered. They can even spread your pine straw if you like. So call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw needs. Alrighty, 27 minutes past the hour here on a Thursday. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Remember, tomorrow we'll be out at Stivers Ford here in Montgomery, where Price sells cars. And Barry, looking at the calendar, Advantage Car Buyer. End of the month. They want to meet and exceed those sales goals. How do they do it? By cutting those prices to the bare bone. And they'll do that because Price sells cars. Hey, don't be afraid. Don't be bashful. I mean, just go ahead and slide that piece of paper across the table and say, this is kind of what I had in mind to pay for that new F-150, that new Maverick, that new Escape, whatever it may be, because at Stivers, Price sells cars, and they love it when they exceed those sales goals. Detroit looks down here in Montgomery, go, man, what are they doing down there at Stivers? They've got the inventory, the know-how, the sales personnel to help you, and, of course, bottom line pricing, nobody beats it. It's Stivers Ford here in Montgomery, where Price sells cars.
Couple of things real quick here. Partially in a roundabout kind of way involving our sponsors, and I'll get to it. It may take a moment or two. Okay. The University of Georgia has released some numbers from this past some financial numbers from this past academic year.
Okay.
A big report. The Dogs are doing pretty well financially, John. You can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I noted was that Georgia, in this financial report, and they didn't release all of it, but they released bits and pieces. In gross revenue from the sale of beer and seltzer at Sanford Stadium last season, Georgia announced that they have brought in $2,794,481 in gross revenue from the sale of beer and seltzer at Sanford Stadium, according to something from the Athens Banner Herald, who picked up on that. Top selling brands: Michelob Ultra and
Bud Light. Sure. Exactly.
The two top sellers. You know, who knew that those Dog fans had that much taste and culture and appreciation for the finer things, John?
Yeah.
They give me a little hope for the future.
That is a good point. My dog wife, that's DAWG, is a big Mick Ultra fan, so maybe that's where she learned it, over there in Athens. But I will say this, Barry. Somebody 35 years ago said, I don't know why they're not selling beer at college football games. Oh, no, you can't do that. Well, they're doing it.
2,700,000. Yes. In this day and age, when you're identifying revenue streams as much as you can, and I've had conversations over the last week or two with many administrators in college athletics where I work at Troy University, and they're talking about new revenue streams and enhancing the current revenue streams. It used to be ticket sales and donations.
That's right.
Those were the two.
Well,
now you better have, NIL donations coming in. You better have that TV revenue. Before 1984, you didn't have nearly as much. And nowadays, if you're selling beer and wine and stuff, heck, Troy and Coastal Carolina and some of those schools have their own specific wine now.
Yes, certainly.
And Trojan Ale and stuff like that.
If you're forcing me to watch, let's see here, Eastern Illinois, ULM, Alabama A&M, Arkansas State, Ball State, I could go on and on. But if you're forcing me to watch these teams, you better have some alcohol for sale.
John says, you expect me to watch those teams cold sober?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Revenue stream. Before I get to this, let me get to this first, because I want to get back to revenue streams. Unfortunately, last night we did not provide a revenue stream for you unless it's to local man. But hey, we're still up big time over the last how many games? In 25.
I want to say 17 of 25 in the last 25, which 17 for 68%.
I think it's 17 of 24 actually is the number at this point. Just
like
technical.
70%, something like that. 71.
So the Oklahoma City Thunder closed out the Western Conference Finals last night. It did kind of surprise me. I thought Minnesota would give them a better fight. Was really into this. T-Wolf team thought they were really playing well. I think age got them, and late in the fourth quarter got them as well.
Well, yeah, so, it was not a truly competitive series. The Thunder wins it 4-1, and they'll go to the NBA Finals. It was not a truly competitive game 5 of the series either.
Tough, no doubt.
Thunder wins it by, they win it by 30. 30. 124
there were a lot of there were a lot of lopsided victories in this series. A lot of lopsided games,
which we had not had much of in the NBA playoffs.
So tonight, 7 p.m. on TNT, Eastern Conference Finals going on, where tonight the Indiana Pacers could close it out at Madison Square Garden
Yep.
Could happen.
Pacers up 3-1.
Yeah.
But they're playing on the road against the Knicks. All of the guys in the television networks, they got rabbit's feet. They're going to be watching the game with lucky pennies. They're going to be there with, chicken feet sticking out of their back pockets and stuff. Any kind of juju they can get for the New York Knicks to get that New York market locked in for the NBA Finals.
And maybe the Knicks win it tonight, get the series to a 3-2 mark. That could happen, but they're not going to do it by more than 4.5 points. I can see the Pacers winning this game. They've had a lot of success in the Garden over the years. Just ask Reggie Miller. So I could see the Pacers winning this game tonight, but it's okay if they don't. But they're not going to lose by more than 4.5. So we're going to take the hot Pacer team, the younger Pacer team.
Yep.
I think that's huge because they're a little younger than this Knick team, and this long season, I think, might be taking its toll on the New York Knickerbockers. I like Indiana plus 4.5 tonight at the Garden, 7 o'clock TNT. Take the points as an insurance policy. Indiana plus 4.5 is the Phantoms' daily dog.
I disagree. Lane Kiffin, back on some of the bars in Oxford, he used to say, hey, age is just a number, baby.
It is just a number.
Well,
you're right, Barry, but your stamina as you get older is not as much as it is when you're younger. Not talking about picking up girls in bars, which is true, but also on the court. I mean, you might bust your tail for those first 3 quarters. And you're thinking, man, those guys look pretty good for old. Then you get to about the 8-minute mark in the fourth quarter, and it's a different game. It's kind of like that long weekend when you pick that girl up at the bar and you go somewhere for the first time. By the time Memorial Day Monday rolls around, you're going, honey, I'm done. Woo! Ha! I am out.
Yeah.
Younger guys.
Not only out, but that prescription bottle's out too. It's empty. Anyway, so love it. Very strong. Let's get it on the record. Okay.
Yep. Pacers plus the 4.5 tonight at New York.
There you go.
Eastern Conference Finals. All right.
Pacers.
I want to talk about revenue real quick before we go to a break and get into Gurn Jr.'s Victoryland 777 topic wheel.
Right.
I'm all about revenue production.
Yeah.
And I don't know why these schools, some of these that are better than that, or so they seem, do not take advantage of revenue streams that are right there waiting on them. Just
You've said that before about state governments.
Yeah, no doubt.
John is all about revenue production. They still tell stories, legendary anecdotes about little 9-year-old Johnny Longshore. Hey, you want to buy it down 0.5 point? Sure. Let me put you down for 4. You're all about revenue production.
Let's cut the fat, get rid of the waste, and let's start producing revenue. They're looking for a new Doge director. Trump found anybody yet?
It would not take John more than maybe a week. You out. Mr. Longshore, can you take a look at this? In, out, out, out.
Yeah.
Out.
I'll do that in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, no doubt.
Got a tea time at 3. Let's go. Out.
Yeah, look, come on.
Out.
Let's go. I'm going to the naval base over at Bethesda playing in the military course today. Let's do it.
Yeah. Anyway, so John's all about revenue production. That has been established through many years of solid evidence.
What are we waiting on? Because I got to think there are people with both Auburn and Alabama that would bend over backwards to put their name on the stadium, their company's name on the stadium, on the field, where the press box, you name it. I know there's got to be companies all over the place that would love to have Yellowwood Stadium at Pat Dye Field or whatever you want to call it. What are they waiting on?
Is the reason why the basketball arena is called Neville Arena, is it because Neville himself, I think his name, Thomas said, I can afford the basketball arena. I can't afford the football stadium.
Yeah. And I don't know what it cost, but what was it called before it was Neville Arena? Auburn Arena?
Yes.
Yeah. So this family donated a ton of money to put the name on it. Smart move. Love it. Great. I don't know why they don't do it to more athletic venues around the conference, around the state. Number 2, Auburn is switching to Nike from Under Armour.
Yes.
If Nike gave Auburn a lucrative deal, and Nike seems to kind of like this type of stuff. Hey, Auburn, we're going to be your new apparel manufacturer. We're going to give you all this stuff, shirts, shoes, hats, the whole schmear. But you got to throw some orange jerseys out there from time to time. Some navy blue jerseys.
Gosh.
And it's not just Auburn. I'd be doing it to Alabama too. I don't want to hear we don't have any money. Same with the state. I believe you're lying to us because I'm looking at revenue streams that are out there that nobody's tapping into. If I'm Greg Byrne, I'm going, hey, Nike, you know what?
You take uniforms and shove it here. I'm sorry, that was Yankees. Sorry, that was.
We normally don't do this, but if you're willing to pay us to do it, we might trot out there in some helmets with no numbers on them or some crimson pants, things of that nature. And I know what people are thinking. No, don't want any part of that.
Yesterday,
I'm telling you, that is coming.
We're approaching a day and age where if somebody were to pay Auburn or Arkansas or Georgia or Tennessee $8 million to put big old propellers on the tops of their helmets, that, like those little things that kids have that have a little sparkler, just put a sparkler on the top of your helmet, and they would probably do it, something like that. We're approaching a day and age where everything is for sale. You mentioned this, and I was reminded, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before, when Hunter Yurachek was on with Paul Feinbaum. Hunter Yurachek is the athletic director at Arkansas. And what do they call it? They call it the Donald W. Reynolds Razorbacks, the Donald W. Reynolds Family Razorback Stadium or something like that.
Yep.
They call it the DWF or the Don or something like that. Where he told Feinbaum, he said, look, we are looking for corporate naming rights for where Arkansas plays football. And I'm thinking, you're already naming it after some family who gave him a lot of money.
Sure.
But you can do like, Jordan Hare Stadium at Pat Dye Field or Shields Watkins Field at Neyland Stadium or something. You're going to start, and at Auburn, let me see if I can remember. The baseball stadium at Auburn is Hitchcock Field at Plainsman Park, but there's something else involved with it as well. I'm forgotten about it. Hey, Arkansas says, look, hey, Tyson.
Sure.
Walmart Stadium, why not?
Some people get critical about letterheads with too many championship years on them. Yeah. Hey, I don't have a problem with letterheads with 4 or 5 family names of corporate name and whatever else on it either. So what? The others, I think you meant tax and spend. That's what Democrats do. Democrats aren't into revenue production. They're into taxing and spending. Tobias, that's a good one. Shannon Sharp said age is just a number too.
Yeah, but he said that accidentally when his Instagram account was live.
That's a good one, Tobias.
Yeah, let's see. Some of you guys just like 3 words. Like, what does abacus have to do with anything? Or merch. What does that mean? Anyway,
merch.
Now back to this.
Anthony Edwards played like he had to take one of his baby mamas to Cancun in the morning. Wow, Tobias is on a roll today.
Now, speaking of on a roll, I'm trying to move the program along here. We're a little late for a break. We promised to do this after the Phantom's Daily Dog. The memorial starts today. SS is the defending champion.
Correct.
And that's Scotty Scheffler. Players to eye: Morikawa, who was second last year, Hadwin, Aberg, Fitzpatrick, Straka, all finished high in 2024. The long shots: Sunjae Im and Tony Finau.
Tony Finau's been playing pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Morikawa, second last year. I like that as well. I'm telling you, you better watch. If Range Pro gives you some players to get on, you better get on.
Don't question it.
This guy studies the tour. I can promise you.
Just ride the wave with Range Pro for sure. Okay, so there's that. When we come back after this break, we will get into our Gurn Jr. Victoryland 777 topic wheel in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
All right, man, grab a Budweiser and take a knee. It is the best time of the year. It's baseball season. That means sunshine. It means behind-the-back peanut tosses. And it means sharing some cold, frosty Budweisers with your boys. Because there's nothing more American than watching America's game with America's beer. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to bring your A game? Are you ready to cheer every frozen rope down the line and amazing catch at the warning track? Are you ready for pitchers' duels and slugfests? Tell me, are you ready for the thrill of an incredible walk-off victory? I can't hear you. Are you ready for Budweiser and baseball? Then get on your feet, raise an ice-cold Bud, and let's make this season larger than life. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds!
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Known by avid golfers as one of the most beautiful and challenging stops on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, Cambrian Ridge in Greenville lies just 40 miles from Montgomery. It is well worth the ride for any golfer looking for 27 holes of jaw-dropping golf. The greens have been redesigned to accommodate the higher green speeds associated with their installation of the latest generation of ultra-dwarf Bermuda grass. Cambrian Ridge offers a fully stocked pro shop with all the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com/Cambrian Ridge for tee times and more information. Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the River region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. River Bank and Trust. Okay, about 12 minutes to the top of the hour. I see Gurn Jr.'s Victoryland 777 topic wheel in the warm-up box, ready to go. It's kind of loosening up right there. A lot of topics. Now, of course, Barry and I have not seen these topics.
Nope,
these are new to us as they are to you. So the first time we see them will be the first time you see them as well. So we're kind of playing, what do they say, from the seat of your pants? Well, I'm always
flying blind here.
Yeah, flying blind. All right, Gurn, let's give it a spin. Let's see what we got. Here it comes. Victoryland 777 topic wheel. You can be a winner too.
He's back.
Oh, who could this be?
Oh, yeah. LeBaron Filing, we covered this extensively in the first hour of the program. The entry deadline was midnight last night, and he waited until the last minute. Withdraws from the NBA draft. He is a terrific player. Probably did not get the draft grade that he wanted. Probably. And so you say, well, if he didn't get the draft grade he wanted, why did he wait until the very last minute? Because he was just seeing how much he could leverage in NIL money, nothing wrong with it, from the University of Alabama. I don't know. I'm thinking about going. How much am I bet here?
That's right.
Yeah, that is a huge one for Alabama because they have done well in the transfer portal. They lose a ton of folks. They got the kid back who had the medical red shirt last year, whose name escapes me. They say that he's good to go and all that, but Filan was the key.
In this. I think it's interesting that both Pettiford and Filan wear the same number, but that's really not a number. I don't like 0 in basketball.
No.
But I do like the fact they're letting them wear numbers that make the officials work at it. That foul on number 8.
7, foul on number 7. Okay, I got it. Number 25? No. Number 7, which is the reason.
Is it the way they show the score, so they don't think it's 27?
Yeah, I mean, you can do like the number 21, but you have to be naked. I'm sorry, and take your shoes off. But anyway, so that's the story. That's big news, LeBaron Filan. Good stuff.
Big.
We appreciate it. Yes.
All right, let's spin it again. Let's see which way or where it's going to land.
All right.
Colors there on the Victoryland 777 topic wheel. It looks like it's going to be.
I know what this one is. Charlie Woods. That kid can play.
Man.
I think it's Tiger's boy. Shot a 66.
Wow.
That's the American Junior Golf Association, the AJCAA. He won it. I mean, he is really good. He's a high school junior. This was at Stream Song Resort in Florida. 71 other junior golfers from around the world, including the number 1 ranked player, like you saw on the screen.
It's amazing.
All right. Here's you can tell he's just a kid, right? 2 under 70. That was in his first round, 3-day tournament. First round, 2 under 70 with just 3 pars. All 3 are on par 3s. Is that possible? Yeah, it is.
That's a lot of 3 pars.
That's a lot of birdies because you factor in a couple of bogeys.
Gotcha.
Erratic as can be.
That's erratic, Barry. Erratic. Yeah.
65 in the second round. And then the final round yesterday began birdie bogey, but then 6 birdies in 9 holes. The next 9 holes.
That'll get you going. That's awesome.
Now this was something real quick. This is something. Tiger Woods said this. This is a couple of years ago when Charlie wasn't playing great and he'd storm off and he'd lose his temper. John's talked about this before. He said, son, this is back in 2021. Tiger told Charlie Woods, son, I don't care how mad you get. Your head could blow off for all I care, just as long as you're 100% committed to the next shot. That's all that matters. Next shot could be the most important shot of your life. It should be more important than breathing. Once you understand that concept, I think you'll get better. That's pretty good advice about golf. That's pretty good advice about life, John.
Yeah, it
good
is.
Stuff for Charlie Woods.
It is. Yeah. It certainly is. Other advice would be don't have an affair with a waitress at Denny's.
Perkins.
I think it was Denny's, actually.
I think agree to disagree.
I read an article.
Much of a difference.
I read an article in Vanity Fair. Don't ask me why. It was on an airplane, just laying there. Yeah, there was an article about it, about the whole Tiger situation. I thought, wow, look at this. Okay,
Google Tiger affair Perkins.
Yeah. Victoryland 777 topic wheel. Here it goes, spinning around once again, and it lands on.
Mindy was working as an $8 an hour manager and waitress at Perkins.
Huh.
Only a short drive from Tiger's home. It's hard to believe. Yeah.
Perkins Cake and Steak.
Yeah. Otega Oweh. We saw him, we meaning Troy, saw all we wanted out of him in the NCAA tournament. Another guy who has withdrawn from the NBA draft, and he's returning to Lexington.
I wonder what Kentucky's paying him.
No question. And you get a little bit more leverage, a little bit more, freedom to make those decisions when you got that NIL money coming. He's a terrific player. He was first team all SEC. I said his name a ton when the Trojans were trying to stop him up in Milwaukee in the NCAA tournament. Good player. It's happening all over the country. Last night was the deadline. Now the coaches know what they have to work with who's returning and who's not.
So some of these preseason rankings, some of these NCAA tournament seeds, are they going to be adjusted now since the rosters are a little bit more solidified?
Yeah, I imagine so. You know who everybody's loving right now and some of the preseason stuff? St. John's. There's a couple of preseason mock-ups I got that see St. John's as being maybe number 1 or 2 in the country, along with like Louisville and some.
Well, I believe Alabama's got a game scheduled with them at the Garden.
They do.
Yeah,
yep.
At Madison Square Garden.
It'll be a great year, and it's a long way away.
How far is the St. John's campus from Madison Square Garden? Always wondered that.
Well, St. John's is in Jamaica, which is Brooklyn, which is over on Long Island. Probably as the crow flies, about 8 miles, 10 miles, something like that.
It's always
traffic-wise, probably an hour.
Ooh, yeah, wow.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's spin it again. Got 3 more topics to go here. 3 more beautiful, colorful panels on our Victoryland 777 topic wheel. Well-rounded.
It always ends up being the last 2 are always green and blue. Have you noticed that?
I have noticed that.
Well-rounded.
You know, he's a very well-rounded young man. Let's see what we're talking about here.
Ooh, I saw this. Top 10 most complete NFL teams for 20. The most well-rounded. The Eagles.
Yeah.
The Commanders are there. The Ravens and the Bills are. The Lions. Yeah. The most well-rounded offense, defense, special teams. The Chiefs.
When was this article released? Because
yesterday.
These are teams that sound very familiar to some teams that were mentioned in the What's Going to Happen in the Next 12 Months show, which was a week from yesterday. Tomorrow.
Gurn, can we go back to that? The most well-rounded teams in the NFL. Can you scroll to the bottom, because I think I read this correctly. Go all the way to the this going to take scroll. We got to get all the way down to number 32 if we can, because if I'm not mistaken, I think number 32 in terms of the most well-rounded NFL franchises, the New Orleans Saints.
It's not good. Okay. It's going to be a tough in a couple of years. We have no quarterback. I'm not.
The Saints are at the bottom of all the preseason power rankings. The bottom in terms of offensive stability, defensive production, and well-roundedness. It's going to be a brutal year.
There's a silver lining with everything, and the one I see here for the Saints, tickets should be easy to come by.
That's it. That's the silver lining out of the whole thing.
Not be a problem.
2 more to get in 2 minutes. Here we go.
Let's do it. Spin her away on our Victoryland 777 topic wheel. You're right. Now that I think about it, it does seem to be blue and green.
Blue and green all the time.
Golfing. Huh.
Oh, yeah. Pete Crow Armstrong, the best hyphenated player in the major leagues, plays for the Cubs. Check this out. I mean, that one was down at his shoe tops. I mean, he reminded me of Vladimir Guerrero, for goodness sakes, and hit one out. He's a good player. very smart. I like his interviews.
You
and
know,
stuff
Barry, I got to
as
think,
well.
I don't know if it was a home run, but didn't Kelly Leak step across the plate when they were walking him in the Bad News Bears and he yanked one, at least to the fence? I think he hit it to the fence.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that was Bad News Bears or breaking training with or the god-awful Bad News Bears goes to Japan, but I think it was one of them. All right.
That's
one
a good
more.
one. Golfing home run.
That's
I
a
like
horrible pitch. Not only did he make contact, which is surprising, but he hit it out at Wrigley Field. Okay. One more. This is called Choked It.
Yep, got to spin it to make it official, and it's going to land on. Yep, nothing's changed.
Yep.
Choked it. Who choked it? NHL.
Oh.
Here we go. Ooh.
The Panthers now back to their third straight Stanley Cup final. They were the Panthers were down 2-0 in the first period, and they ended up winning it 5-3.
Heartbreaker for the NHL.
The Florida
fans.
Panthers out of Miami is a hockey powerhouse now. I think only 7 other franchises ever in the history of the NHL made it to the Stanley Cup Finals 3 straight years. The Florida Panthers.
So let's see here. The Dolphins have won a Super Bowl. The Heat have won an NBA title. The Marlins have won 2 World Series titles.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Panthers. Man, they got it going on down there.
The Tampa Bay Lightning has won a couple of NHL titles. Yeah, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won a championship. Next up, the Jacksonville Jaguars. It would be symmetrical. That needs to happen.
Yeah.
All right.
So speaking of Jacksonville, very quickly, I saw that the Florida-Georgia game will be played in Tampa one year and Atlanta the next as they renovate the Gator Bowl.
Here's what the Gator Bowl is going to be taking a while, but I'm afraid they're going to like it. They're going to like having it away from Jackson. I never could figure out why Georgia liked it. I was a big fan as a Gator fan to have it in Jacksonville every year.
Yep.
Georgia's going to like having it closer to their home. This is a bad precedent to set, even though it's because the stadium's being renovated. I think the more they play it outside of Jacksonville, closer to Georgia and can't get closer to Gainesville. I think the more Georgia's going to push for, hey, let's forget about Jacksonville. Let's finish out this contract and go home and home, kind of like a couple of teams did back in 1989.
Yeah, true. Now, I know we got to scoot out of here, but Chris the Bammer wants a Braves update.
Hey, Braves have this is a great day for Braves fans. They got a doubleheader today because yesterday got rained out. They're playing in Philadelphia starting at noon today. 12:05 Central Time, Braves versus the Phillies, and they'll play again tonight around 5:45 or so. Braves baseball, 2 games, awesome.
I mean, isn't one enough? You're going to make me sit
Haven't
through
they suffered
2?
enough? Yeah. There's only 5 games taking place in Major League Baseball on this Thursday.
Man,
2 of them are Braves, Phillies.
Yeah. Then the Red Sox come to Atlanta for a week. Didn't they just play the Red Sox? I mean, what's up? I don't know. All right.
Yeah, they played
tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars. Looking forward to being out there with our good friends at Stivers. Look, remember, end of the month, Advantage Car Buyer. Head to Stivers and take advantage of some incredible pricing as they close out the month of May and exceed and meet those sales goals. How do they do that? By cutting prices to the bone.
Also, many thanks to Jason Caldwell, AuburnUndercover.com, and Rodney Orr, the Tiger Insider, for joining us on the program today. Thanks, as always, to Gurn Jr. for running things. For John Longshore, I'm Barry McKnight in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by